Shalom, shalom, everyone. It's been over a week now. Very busy, but that is no excuse. Welcome back to the Midrash channel. Today we will read from the Tehillim, and we will read Tehillim 41, 42, and 43. Let's begin. First off, let me say I'm reading out the TS 2009 version of the Bible. I do appreciate for everyone who's reached out. I'm okay. It's just I had so many things that kept getting in the way, and I didn't feel I could give this the proper attention that it needed. And I did not want to shortchange you nor Yahweh because of my rush to just get things done. I was able to be more consistent with all the things that I'm supposed to do. I'm human, but it's no excuse. It's just what it is. So this is the TS 2009 version of the Bible again, and I will begin reading at Tehillim, or Psalm 41. Psalm 41. Blessed is he who considers the poor. Yahweh does deliver him in a day of evil. Yahweh does guard him and keep him alive. He is blessed on the earth, and you do not hand him over to the desire of his enemies. It means those who are considered the poor and those who are less fortunate. And his weakness on his bed, you bring a change. As for me, I said, O Yahweh, show me favor. Heal me, for I have sinned against you. My enemies speak evil of me. When he dies, his name shall perish. And one comes to visit, he speaks falsely. His heart gathers wickedness to itself. He goes out, he speaks of it. All who hate me whisper together against me. They plot evil to me, saying, and it is a matter of Belial is poured on him, that when he lies down, he would not rise again. Even my own friend, in whom I am entrusted, wait my bread, has lifted up his heel against me. But you, O Yahweh, show me favor and raise me up, and let me repay them. By this I know that you did delight in me, because my enemy does not shout for joy over me, and you uphold me in your integrity, and me set before your face forever. Blessed be Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, from everlasting to everlasting. Amen and amen. Briefly, it's just saying, starting in verse 1, it's saying it's a blessing to be considered. It's a blessing to be considered or to look out for those who don't have all their needs met. Yahweh delivers the needy. He protects them. He shamars them. That means it's a military term in the Hebrew. Shamar means to guard, to protect, to fortify, and occupy. He keeps them from the adversary. In other words, the enemies won't overrun the walls of those who trust in him. He sustains him, which is sa'ad, which means to refresh, to support, and to uphold. That's in verse 3, I believe. Yahweh, show me favor. And he says, I acknowledge my sin. Forgive me. See, that is a state of kapor. That is a state of understanding. I'm looking at myself. This is a definition of atonement. This is me looking squarely at myself in the mirror, looking at this guy and no others, and not throwing someone else under the bus. Is looking at me, and then where I'm coming up short, and then I'm in the position of asking for forgiveness so that these things can pass away from me, so that the Most High Yah can bless me and keep me in spite of all the situations, the problems, and the circumstances I may face in life. But I have to acknowledge my sin. And then I ask for forgiveness. Then he goes on to say, now that's just a lesson for all of us to learn. Then he goes on to say, my enemies speak evil lies. They say things about, we know what a lie is. They speak untruths. They come against me. They slander me. They come at me. They real loose around the lips when it comes to me, saying things they ought not say. Most of his lies. It says that the enemy's heart is piling lawlessness on himself. That means that you are constantly walking down the way of anomia, which is a Greek word for meaning no law, This is being a person who is not following the ways of righteousness. They do not follow in instruction. They are actually in a place of meshuva, which means to stray off course and not walk the path that's been pre-prescribed. They don't do that. And they say it's a matter of Belial or Belial. If you don't know who Belial is or Belial is, I suggest you look it up. It don't make sense to you. But you understand that it also denotes it has another meaning. It means to be it means worthlessness. And it's saying that the worthlessness is poured out upon this person. Belial also means no prophet. It means a lot of stuff. It's nothing good. But I'm gonna let you do the work on that. Look, Belial, you'll see that's the name of a deity, but it also has other meanings as well. And then he says in verse 9, my friend betrayed me. My friend was a Benedictine. My friend was a turncoat. The one who was supposedly my boy, my girl, my homie, who was always there. Turns out they really weren't. The Most High will reveal who's in your circle as time goes on. But you have to have enough fluidity inside your mind and in your heart to understand when people show you something, you believe it. Shout out to Maya Angelou. Everybody quotes that. But it's so true that when people show you the true intention of who they are as a person, you need to believe that. You need to stop saying to yourself, oh, that couldn't be true. That means you can't keep giving them second, thirds, and fifth chances. When someone is showing themselves as being false to you, you need to back away from them because they're dangerous to you. The most dangerous enemy to you is the one you allow in your camp. It's one thing to see the enemy army outside the camp, but you can't shamar. Back to the word shamar there. You can't shamar or guard against that which you are blind to, that which you cannot see. The most effective attack the enemy can make against you is inside the fortification. Because see, on the outside, they have to use their snipers, they have to use their troops and all that. And you can see those things coming. But when somebody's on the inside being the saboteur, when somebody's on the inside being the backstabber, the liar, the person who's turning against you, the one who has a false allegiance to you, they're the ones who can do the most damage. Because that's why we always look to our fronts, but we have our friends who are supposed to watch our backs. Something to think about. Your friends are supposed to watch your back. But you have to put them in a place of trusting you where you know that you can watch their back and they're watching yours because they haven't got to see what you can't see. But if that person behind you is not truly on your side, but they're looking for a chance to get you, then you're very vulnerable. Nobody can defend your back. Not easily. Your back is your backside is the most vulnerable part of you because you can't see it coming. I'll just leave that there. But then he says in verse 10, he says, still show me favor. The Most High is interested in showing favor upon his children. He wants to see us blessed. And he says, you show me favor, my Yahweh, and you raise me up and let me repay them. Just when he thought they took me out, Father, let my hand wrap around their throat. Let me give to them the portion that they meant to give me. Let me know that even though they tried to take me out, but they couldn't fade me, I'm still here. Father, let me put my hand upon my enemies and show them that you are the deliverance. You are the keeper of those who trust in you. He says, and you uphold me in my integrity. Integrity means I do what I'm supposed to do at all times, 24 hours, 7 days a week, whether there's a camera on or not. I am the same, consistent, whether I'm in front of an audience or an audience of one. You always see me and I'm always the same way. I keep it 100. And he says, set me before your face forever. And blessed be Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, which is our power, of Israel from everlasting to everlasting. He's saying clearly, uphold me in spite of all these things, Father, give me the victory. Let me be the man. So there are a few different themes going on inside this chapter or this song. The stanzas, they're really stanzas, not really chapters and verses, because it's a song. Songs are divided in stanzas. So that's just one point there. Let's move on to Tehillim 242. As a deer longs for the water streams, so my being longs for you, O Elohim. My being thirsts for Elohim, for the living El. What shall I enter in to appear before Elohim? My tears have been my food day and night, while they say to me all day, where's your Elohim? These I remember and pour out my being within me, for I used to pass along with the throng. I went with them to the house of Elohim, throng meaning crowd, the assembly of people, with the voice of joy and praise. A multitude celebrating a festival, feast day, Moedim. Why are you depressed, O my being? And why are you restless within me? Wait for Elohim, for I shall yet thank him for the deliverance of his face. O my Elohim, my being is depressed within me. Therefore I remember you from the land of Yarden, which is the Jordan, the area, but let's keep going. And from the heights of Hermon, and from Mount Mitzvah. Deep calls to deep at the sound of your waterfalls. All your waves and breakers passed over me. By day Yahweh commands his loving commitment. We discussed loving commitment several videos ago, and I suggest you look back at that. And by night his song is with me, a prayer to the El of my life. I say to El, my rock, why have you forgotten me? Why do I go mourning because of the oppression of the enemy, with murder in my bones? My enemies have approached me, while they say to me all day long, where is your Elohim? Why are you depressed, O my being? And why are you restless within me? Wait for Elohim, for I shall yet thank him for the deliverance of my face and my Elohim. Well, we see that one, that Tehillah had a very somber tone, even as the one before it did as well. But he is calling out. He is beseeching him in this song or this psalm. In these stanzas, the first one, he said, "I need you like a deer needs water. I need you to sustain my life." You know, one thing you'll learn about deer is that they actually live somewhere near close to water sources that they draw sustenance from. I did look that up a bit. If I remember right, I remember they usually live within a mile or so of a water source, whether that be a lake, a stream, wherever they can get water. But they can go a long time without it, but they prefer to live close to it. Where do you live? Where are you drawing your source? I'm asking you that. What sustains your life? What is your life-giving source? Are you tied into the rivers of living water, or are you, as I believe it was in Jeremiah said, are you sipping from broken cisterns, cracked cups, cracked bowls, and jugs? What do you got? What are you drinking from? And how long can you go without a fresh infilling from the living source of water? How much longer will you be able to last drawing from these other streams or no stream? The enemy looks to tire us out that way. He looks to keep us in a place where we're exhausted and dehydrated, because then we can't fight as well. We can't shamar as well, as we talked about earlier. I can't guard and protect and occupy because I'm cut off from the power source. It's like my vacuum cleaner. You can't see this in the corner. It is able to clean every floor in my house, but it cannot do any of that without having the proper power source in order to walk in its full potential. Where do you live? What is your source? Selah, something to consider. So let's keep going. So we see around between verses 2 and 5, he's encouraging himself in Yahweh. See, there becomes a point where you can't always cut on the YouTubes. You can't find your moray. You can't, your songs won't do it. You have to encourage yourself based on the relationship that you have with him. See, that's when that internal source begins to kick in and sustain you. But you have got to be drawing from it in order to live by it. Because see, there are times where you're going to be cut off from everything that normally feeds you, and you're going to have to encourage yourself. Perhaps like me, your favorite Maury. They don't upload for a week. What are you going to do now? Or they don't go live on YouTube or on Facebook in the mornings, or they don't do a Shabbat service. How are you going to sustain yourself? How are you going to sustain yourself when your Ak and your Koti don't come through with their timely word on a daily basis? What will you do? How will you sustain yourself in a drought situation? What is inside of you that will drive you on, that will even keep you in the adverse situation you find yourself? Well, he says here, he cries out to Elohim, his maker. Because he realizes in that moment, he's got to be his priest, his own moray, his own pastor, his own reverend. He has got to be that person. He's crying out, making the intercession, speaking out to Abba Yah, Yahweh, Elohim of all things. And then on that, it says, and then he goes on and he talks about how in that place, the Most High commands the blessing. He commands his loving commitment. Now, we discussed it. Again, the loving commitment word keeps coming up, but loving commitment has a connotation of surrounding, protecting, engulfing the one who is standing inside the circle of the covenant of the blessing. So it's all, imagine jumping into a pool. When you jump in and you sink towards the bottom, you are completely surrounded and encapsulated by the water. That's a good description and Rodney ease of what it means to have loving commitment working in your life. But go back and look at that. I would even suggest look up the meaning of loving commitment in the Bible. Of course, you can watch our old videos. We got it there too. Verse 9. Around verse 9, what was I thinking about verse 9? It says that he asked the Most High, where are you? Because see, sometimes while we're waiting on him, we get discouraged. You can play those little spiritual games all you want. I prayed on him. I just prayed and I believed and I just received and I had no worries else. That's good for you. But folks like me, because there's a lot of us, I have no problem with admitting there are times when I've called out to him and he's answering the time that I had set aside. Then I begin to ask questions. Where are you, God? Why are you not answering me? When are you going to deliver me from this situation, this problem, this circumstance, these things that are going on? When are you going to show up? See, that's why he had to encourage himself in Yah. Because see, the doubt kicks in. And it's the encouragement that battles against that and pushes back against it. But the question is, who will win? In the battlefield of your mind, the battlefield of your Ruach, the battlefield of your being. Who's going to win? Only you can determine that. The Most High will put you in position where you will have to call out to him. He's not always going to have everybody around you, praising you, giving you the rah-rahs and telling you how wonderful you are. Sometimes you got to stand on your own. You got to stand in that place where there is no water. You got to stand in the place of lo debar, the place of no words. Lo, no, debar, word. No word, no devarim, nothing coming forth. Anything, now this is the time you get to draw from the deposits you put inside of you. That rainy day fund that you put, which you should be putting away inside of you, is now you're going to make a demand on that. You're going to have to withdraw from those deposits you've been making. Just like you save money for a rainy day, you may lose your job or something like that. You put something to the side as a just in case, because things happen. Well, I can tell you that when it comes to walking this thing out with the Most High, there's no just in case. The day will come when you will have to walk through the desert. The desert of this life, the things that you're dealing with, you're going to have to walk through that thing and deal with it. And in that moment, when you have to go through that place of maturation, a place where you are being perfected, nobody else is around you. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter how many people you have on your team, how many people in your camp, how many in your assembly, how many in your whatever. There's a point when you're going to have to come and be by yourself, just like you were born by yourself. You may have had a twin when you came here, but each person came through the birth canal separately. You were born alone. And as you're giving birth to a greater purpose, a greater person, as you are maturing, as you are coming out of the chrysalis and you're growing into who you're supposed to be, you're metamorphing into the person the Most High made you to be. That's what's going to happen to you. You're going to have to go through a time of pulling and stretching, pain. And it won't make sense to you. And even though you may be surrounded by people, nobody's there. Because that's the place where you meet yourself. And the question is, what do you do when that meeting takes place? Let's just keep going. So when he cries out to the Most High, and in the face of his problem, of course, he encourages himself, knowing that these are his problems. And in this, even though it looks dark and it looks dire, he is still calling on the name of the Most High Yah, because he knows that's where his deliverance lays. And that is a lesson to many of us, to all of us. I'm the first one in line to receive that message. Okay, let's wrap this up. Let's read Tehillim 43. Rule me rightly, O Elohim, and plead my cause against a nation, it means a people group, without loving commitment. That means those who are outside of covenant with the Most High. Oh, deliver me from a man of deceit and unrighteousness, for you are the Elohim of my strength. Why have you rejected me? Why do I go mourning because of the oppression of my enemy? Send your light and your truth. Let them lead me. Let them bring me to your set apart mountain and to your dwelling places, that I may come to the slaughter place of Elohim, to El, the joy of my delight, and praise you in the lyre, with the lyre, with L-Y-R-E, not a lying person. Lyre is an instrument, a stringed instrument. O Elohim, my Elohim, why are you depressed? O my being, why are you restless within me? Wait for Elohim, for I shall thank him, the deliverance of my face and my Elohim. There we see the psalmist in the stanzas. He's asking Yahweh to have dominance and to give him and to plead his case, to be his advocate. He is proclaiming him as his power, his supreme power. He's saying, you are my strength. And he said he felt rejected by the ones he loves. How often does that happen? The ones we pour so much into are the ones who do least for us. It's not that they should do that, but it's interesting how often that may happen in our lives. But when that happens, we have to, that's just another thing that drives us back to him. And he says to him, he says, my enemies cause me to cry. We've seen that in the others that he's talking about that. He says, send forth your light, your ore, your dawn. Lead me home to your dwelling place. He said the slaughtering place, that's the altar of El. The place where you lay yourself out, not the place where you go grab an animal or anything like that. We understand that we have to be the living sacrifice on that altar. We have to be the one laid out prostrate. We have to be the one that is gutted from the foolishness, gutted from all the self-pretension and all the other stuff inside of us, and laid out there as an acceptable sacrifice. He said he encourages his ruach with gladness. He said, why are you depressed, O my being? And why are you restless with me? Wait for Elohim, for I shall yet thank him, the deliverance of my face and my Elohim. So he sees the Most High as being his deliverance, his source, the one who will keep him and preserve him in spite of the attack of the enemy. And this is pretty much the whole stream of thought here in this teaching has been about enduring the trial and expecting the victory and receiving the victory, because it is coming your way. But you must hang on to the word. You must sustain yourself by the word, and you must remain with the word, and you must shamar it, guard it, protect it, for it is your life. And you must build yourself up in it, so there's something in your armory. When the enemy comes, you have something to shoot at him with. Or otherwise, you just get a gun with no bullets is no good. Something to think about, something to ruminate on, something for you to consider. This has been the Midrash channel. This is Maury Rodney Frederick. It's been really good spending time with you. And I say shalom. Enjoy your day. More stuff coming.